Hey guys, happy Friday to you. Some more Aesop's Fables today. I don't know if you can see that or not. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There once was a boy with a voice so loud that it frightened his grandmother and made the neighbor's baby cry. That's a loud voice. The boy's father, hoping to get the boy a job, went to the town council meeting and asked if his son might become the town shepherd. "A boy has been eating our sheep," said the boy's father. Boy, a wolf has been eating our sheep," said the boy's father. Sorry about that. "My son could watch over the flock and shout 'Wolf' whenever the flock is in danger. You have to admit there is no one more qualified for this job than my son." The council couldn't argue, so the boy was hired. At first, the boy liked his job. He enjoyed being outdoors, and the work wasn't that difficult. But soon he became bored. Nobody came to visit him, and he hadn't seen a single wolf. One day, just to see what would happen, he shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" Everyone in the town came running to rescue the flock. "Where's the wolf?" they asked. "Oh, well, there isn't one," he replied. Weeks went by and the prank was almost forgotten when the boy cried, "Wolf! Wolf!" again. Again the townspeople ran to the flock. "Where's the wolf?" demanded the people. "What wolf?" said the boy, who was just simply enjoying the attention. The townspeople marched away, terribly angry with the boy. The boy kept quiet for the next few days as he waited for his next chance to play his trick. Then the unexpected happened. A wolf really did appear. The boy was terrified. He'd never seen a real wolf before, and the sight of it was horrible. He tried to cry wolf, but he was so frightened he lost his voice. Finally, the boy mustered all of his strength and all of his courage, and "Wolf!" and he shouted "Wolf!" and he yelled "Wolf!" He shouted as loud as he could, but nobody listened. "Help! Wolf!" he cried, but nobody came. "Wolf! It's a big one!" screamed the boy, but nobody believed him. All this time the wolf was eating his fill of the flock, eating all those sheep. When most of the flock was eaten, he went back into the woods. And the moral of the story is that when you don't tell the truth, people sometimes don't believe you even when you are telling the truth. No one believes a liar. Nobody likes a liar. All right, and let's do one more. You guys know this story, the tortoise and the hare. The hare couldn't understand how the tortoise ever accomplished anything. Tell me," demanded the hare as he hopped circles around the tortoise. "How do you get things done? You move so slowly that you hardly move at all. Just look at me, look at me. I cover lots of ground every day." To prove it, the hare sprinted across the field and back again before the tortoise could even open up his mouth. "Well," began the tortoise as he considered his answer, "it's like this. First of all, I find it much better to plan ahead, and then—" No time for this, no time at all," interrupted the hare, and in a flash, he was gone. A few days later, the hare happened to meet the tortoise again. While the tortoise sunned himself on a mossy rock, "Hey there, Mr. Tortoise," shouted the hare, appearing suddenly and giving the tortoise a terrible scare. "If you don't watch out, somebody's going to make soup out of you." "Oh," replied the tortoise, poking his head out of his shell, "you're just mocking me. Besides, I don't believe—" But the hare was impatient. "I think what you need is some exercise. I'll start your heart pumping. I'll get your blood moving. Try it. You'll see. "Exercise," said the tortoise. "Let me think for a moment. By exercise, do you—" "A race! How about a race?" blurted the hare. "I challenge you to a race." And before the tortoise could reply, the date was set. On the morning of the race, everyone turned out to witness the contest of the season. The owl had selected a fair course that the night before, and the lion and the frog agreed to judge the race and announce the winner. The tortoise and the hare stood side by side at the starting line. The race was about to begin. The crowd held its breath. A crow, sitting in a nearby tree, dropped a twig, signaling the start. When the twig hit the ground, the racers were off. The shouts and croaks and caws and barks of the crowd were deafening, but the hare was already too far ahead to hear them. The tortoise moved along as fast as he could, which is to say, not very fast at all, but soon he too was well away from the starting line. When the hare reached the halfway mark, he turned to look behind him. The tortoise was nowhere in sight. It was almost lunchtime, and the hare thought about making a salad to celebrate his certain victory. He went off in search of carrots and lettuce and whatever else he might find. Meanwhile, the tortoise, plodding along, slowly closing the gap between himself and the hare, the whole time he kept in his mind the thought of crossing the finish line. The hare had gathered a huge amount of salad greens for his victory salad, and even went to the trouble of finding tender blossoms. When he had finished the last of his lunch, he returned to the track and dashed a little farther ahead. But the sun was high and hot, and the hare was drowsy from such a big meal. Once again he left the track, this time in search of some shade. Little did he know that the tortoise was behind him, just around the bend. "There's one thing I have to give the tortoise credit for," thought the hare as he drifted off to sleep. "Since he carries his house with him, he can get shade wherever he wants." The tortoise pressed onward, not even realizing that he was passing the hare. "He's nowhere in sight," the tortoise thought, "but the race isn't over until it's over." Like the hare, the tortoise was also feeling tired from the sun, but he kept his goal in mind. "One thing I have to give the hare credit for," he said to himself. "At least he doesn't have to carry his home with him wherever he goes. No wonder he can move so fast." And the tortoise kept moving, and the hare dreamed about victory. A while later, the tortoise began to hear the friendly sounds of animals chirping, cawing, and growling, and he realized that he was nearing the finish line. As he cleared the top of the hill, he could see the crowd at the bottom. The crowd saw him too and began to cheer. In his dreams, the hare thought the cheers were for him. But suddenly he awoke and realized the race was not yet won. He jumped up and dashed for the finish line. He reached the top of the hill just in time to see the tortoise cross the finish line. And the moral of the story is, slow and steady wins the race. Good night, Graham. Good night, Cooper. Good night, Robin. We love you. Night-night.